Matthew Perry survived decades of addiction, spent millions on rehab and fought like hell to stay alive. But in the end, what killed him wasn't just drugs. It was people supplying them. And at the centre of it all, a woman known as the Ketamine Queen. Matthew Perry, the actor we all knew as Chandler Bing from Friends. He made us laugh, he made us cry, and for years he was very open about his struggles with addiction. But in October 2023, the world was left shocked when Matthew was found dead in his Los Angeles home. Now, nearly 2 years on, we finally have some answers. Answers surrounding the people who supplied him with drugs that contributed to his death. One woman in particular, a woman by the name of Jasveen Sangha, known on the streets as the Ketamine Queen, just pleaded guilty in court. And her story is as wild as it sounds. That sounds like a fictional name, it's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about it. So Matthew Perry, he never shied away from talking about his demons. In his memoir, Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing, he admitted to spending millions of dollars on rehab, undergoing countless surgeries and nearly dying multiple times due to substance abuse. One addiction that followed him more later in life was the addiction to ketamine. Now, ketamine became very popular in Hollywood. In some circles, it became very popular and dangerous. It was a party drug. And Perry was said to be using the drug ketamine to actually help his depression and anxiety. The problem is, outside of a controlled medical setting, ketamine can be lethal. So in October 2023, Matthew Perry was found unresponsive in his hot tub at home. He was just 54 years of age. The initial reports shocked fans everywhere, and at first no foul play was suspected, but the autopsy told us different things. The autopsy revealed something darker. The autopsy showed that Matthew had ketamine in his system. He had also taken other drugs as well, and this all came out in the autopsy. And together, the concoction of drugs was a dangerous combination, and this turned out to be fatal. So this is where Jasveen Sangha comes in. Known in the streets as the Ketamine Queen, Sangha was part of an underground network in LA that specialised in the distribution of drugs. Investigators say she wasn't just a small-time dealer. She ran what was called drug-involved premises, meaning she was supplying multiple people and operating out of a safe house all across LA. And when Matthew died, investigators traced his supply back to her. And it turns out she wasn't the only one involved. Several others were charged in connection with supplying Perry the ketamine, but Sangha quickly became the most notorious. And according to court documents, the group operated like a tight network. Perry would receive ketamine through intermediaries, people who were often former addicts themselves. Text messages, Venmo receipts and surveillance tied multiple suppliers to Perry's drug use. And Sangha, as a self-proclaimed Ketamine Queen, was right in the centre. She wasn't just supplying Perry, but also other high-profile clients all across Hollywood, and prosecutors made it clear this wasn't just about one celebrity overdose. It was about dismantling a bigger distribution ring. So on September the 3rd, 2025, a few days ago, she stood before a federal judge in LA and pleaded guilty. She admitted to supplying Perry with the ketamine that contributed to his death, and also to be maintaining those drug premises where supply was distributed. With the plea deal, she faces the possibility of decades behind bars. Some of the associates have already pleaded guilty and are now awaiting sentencing. And the prosecutors made it clear this wasn't about punishing someone for addiction. It was all about holding people accountable, holding accountable the people who profited of Perry's struggles. When the news broke, Perry's fans were divided. Some were angry at the so-called Ketamine Queen, calling her a predator who took advantage of someone fighting addiction. Others pointed out that Perry had long battled substance abuse, and this was tragically another chapter in his story. But what most people agree on was that Matthew Perry deserved better. He spent his later years in life helping others get sober, funding treatment centres, and openly speaking about his struggles so people could learn from them. Matthew Perry's death was tragic, but the guilty plea of Jasveen Sangha shows the investigators were determined to find accountability. It's another reminder of how dangerous these underground drug networks can be, even for people who seem to have all the resources in the world. Addiction doesn't discriminate. And in Perry's own words, he once said, "When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that was mentioned. I want helping people to be the first thing." And maybe that's how we should remember Matthew Perry. Not as Chandler Bing from Friends, but as someone who tried to use his pain to save others. If you found this case interesting, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dives into true crime stories. What do you think? Should the so-called Ketamine Queen face the maximum sentence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.